So it's fair to say that the Battlefield community seems to be pretty damn happy with the state of Battlefield 6, albeit it is a beta. There's still a lot that can go wrong between now and launch, but I think most people are just very happy that Battlefield seems to be back because they've made a lot of great changes and additions to this game compared to not only 2042, but even Battlefield 5 as well. And so today I wanted to run you guys through what I think are the 5 best additions they've made to Battlefield 6 that not only make it feel more battlefieldy, for lack of a better word, but also just improve the game overall. Now, the first thing on this list to me is by far the best addition that they've made, not only to Battlefield 6, but in my opinion, this is the single best addition that the Battlefield franchise has ever seen. And this is the drag revive mechanic that they've added that has completely changed the game for any of you who are medics or even just anyone who's playing any class that wants to revive their squad mates, because this makes it not only so much easier and safer, but it also looks absolutely epic. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually surprised that this never got added in the past. I could be wrong here, but I remember back to the Battlefield 5 trailer and I feel like there was actually some brief footage of this and it just never made it to the game. So obviously they've thought about it in the past and maybe they just didn't get around to doing it in Battlefield 5. But now that it's in the game, this feels like the type of mechanic that will just be in every Battlefield moving forward. And it's one of those mechanics that, like I said, now that it's here, it's actually shocking this wasn't already in the game because it is such a great mechanic. It allows you so many times to actually get out there and revive a teammate, where if you were just sitting there out in the open reviving them, there is no doubt that you would die in that situation. But because you can drag them around behind a car or behind a wall, you are actually able to get that revive done, and it just makes it so much better in my opinion. Like I said though, on top of just the actual gameplay element, this just looks so epic, man. I cannot get enough of dragging people around corners. I'm looking around trying to scan the area, my teammates are running around throwing grenades and things are blowing up, there's buildings collapsing around me, and I'm just dragging this downed teammate around a corner to safety. It is the most Battlefield looking mechanic that I think we've really ever seen since Levolution in Battlefield 4, and probably like the Behemoth system I think was also an epic looking mechanic. But to me, this is literally the best addition that has ever been implemented into Battlefield. And not gonna lie, if this isn't in the next Battlefield, I will genuinely riot, because to me, this needs to become a staple of the franchise moving forward. Now, next on the list, something that I'm really happy about as well is the new attachment point system that is kind of similar to some stuff that we've seen in other games in the past, but is still unique enough that it feels like it is its own thing. Now, the first thing that this reminds me of is the Pick 10 system from, I believe it was Black Ops 2. That was a little bit different because it actually just allowed you to pick 10 total items for your entire class. So you could put them onto all of your weapons, for example, and just have a bunch of attachments, but then you would have less perks or less grenades or whatever. This is obviously very different, but it does feel reminiscent of that while still being its own thing. Now, not only is this just a great addition in my opinion in the fact that it gives us a bit more freedom as to how we build out our weapons. We can really go hard on the top heavy things, the things that really improve your gun, but you obviously get less attachments, or you can go for the more all-round build where you're spending a bit less on each attachment, but you've got now 7 or 8 different attachments on your weapon. Personally, I just love that freedom. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the entire player base to just mess around and see what works for you. But on top of that too, I also think it adds a lot to the balancing of the game, because not only can they now balance specific attachments, for example, like a foregrip, if one of them is really strong, not only can they obviously nerf the changes that that attachment makes to the weapon, but sometimes they're going to be able to just go, all right, that thing is clearly a little bit overpowered, but we don't want to change the values of it. Let's just make it worth 30 points rather than 25 points or 20 points. And it almost just adds another way for them to balance things where they can keep things being a little bit more on the overpowered side, but you've got to actually kind of sacrifice something else. And to me, that makes it feel like it is probably a little bit easier for them to balance stuff moving forward. So to me, I really love this system. Obviously, we need a bit more playtime with it to see if it actually works as well as it feels like it works in the beta, but from first impressions anyway, I really, really like this addition. Now, before we go any further, if you guys are interested in more Battlefield 6 content and you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I also wanted to mention, as you guys are watching this, later on today, I'm actually going to be streaming the game from Fortress in Sydney. Now, if you guys are located in Sydney, the tickets to the event are actually free, but they are limited. And so there is a link in the description if you guys want to tag along. You can watch us stream, and then afterwards, I'm sure we'll be having a drink and hanging out and stuff like that. But like I said, be sure to grab your tickets because they are limited, even though they are free. So keep an eye out for that link in the description. And obviously, if you're not based in Sydney, well, be sure to tune into the stream anyway. Say g'day in the chat, tell me I'm shit at Battlefield, and hopefully we have a very fun stream. Now, the next addition that I really like so far from my playtime in the beta is not so much an addition per se, it's more of a combination of two things. That being the supply bag that you get with the support class now being not only ammo, but also health as well. Now, at first glance, I kind of thought, okay, this could potentially be a little bit overpowered because obviously, say back in like Battlefield 5, for example, support and medic were different classes and you had the ammo bag for the support class and you then had the health bag or the health pouches for the medic class. Having those two things combined seemed a little bit overpowered at first glance, but now that I've had plenty of playtime with it, I actually just think it only incentivizes playing support even more and actually playing the role that they have intended, where you are not only being a medic, but you are there to resupply and just essentially all around support your team rather than picking between medic and just overall support. So to me, this is a great addition. I feel like it really kind of buffs the support class and makes it, like I said, a bit more incentivized to play. But also for those of you who were already, I guess, medic players in previous games, like myself, I generally like to run either engineer or medic. It feels like a bit of a bonus for us that now I can not only heal myself and teammates, but I can also give us all ammo as well. To me, I think that is a really great addition, and hopefully they don't go back on that before launch. They obviously still have some little changes to make to the classes, and that's something I really hope that they don't touch, because to me, it's in a perfect spot at the moment. Now, next on the list, this is actually something that we haven't seen just yet because it hasn't been playable, but this is all of the changes that have been made to Portal, to where we can now like alter maps and make our own like courses and races and stuff like that. Although we haven't seen it in person in terms of actually having hands-on and playing it, this feels like it is going to give the game so much longevity and also get the word out there to so many just like general gamers who might be really interested in that stuff and they're not really into shooters, but they see something that you can do in Portal and just kind of adds to the overall play base. I think some of the stuff they showed in the trailer looks absolutely wild. And realistically, this is what Portal should have been in 2042. I think Portal on paper always sounded great and it had its moments for sure, but I think it just fell short of the mark in 2042. Whereas now it actually feels like there is some genuine excitement around Portal, because not only can we do essentially everything we could do in 2042, but there's also some just crazy stuff that not only we can build ourselves, but no doubt so many people in the community are going to create that we can then jump in and play as well. So I'm so keen to get my hands on with Portal and see just how crazy you can make it. It feels like Halo Forge from back in the day, which really did keep a lot of those Halo games alive early on. Once they were years and years into the, I guess, post-launch period, people were still having so much fun mucking around with Forge and doing their own stuff. And I hope that that is the case with Portal in Battlefield 6 as well, so that in like 10 years from now, we can still be mucking around, having a bit of fun, because at the end of the day, that is what gaming's all about. Now, last but not least, this one is definitely a little bit more on the smaller side, but it's something that I really do like. And this is the death screen, where it actually shows the silhouette of the character where they killed you, rather than essentially tracking the character after the death and showing you their exact location. Now, this seems like a pretty small thing, and I don't think it's that big of a deal at the end of the day, but this is one area where I do feel it kind of nerfs playing in a squad just a little bit, and I mean that in a fair way, where let's just say I'm playing with friends and we're all running around together and someone kills me and I can see their exact location. I can just call out to my squad and say, oh, he's over in this room, he's in the left-hand corner, run in there and kill him. And it gives those teammates such crazy information that they really shouldn't have, in my opinion, because it's borderline just like they all just have wall hacks now, because I can see exactly where that enemy is and can just direct them to go and kill them. How it is now, you can still see where that character runs after they kill you. So you can still say, oh, he killed me over here and he's run off to the left. But there is still that element of mystery where I can't just call out their exact location. My teammates can have a bit more information, but they still have to actually figure it out for themselves. And to me, that is a much fairer way of doing it. I also think very much so for the Battle Royale when that launches, this is going to be a great mechanic because especially in a Battle Royale, that would be absolutely overpowered. If you just kill anyone and they're in a squad, you're pretty much going to die because that dead enemy is just going to call you out and their squad's going to roll in. There's going to be 3 of them and they're just going to delete you because they know exactly where you are. Whereas now you can still have that little bit of stealth, that little bit of mystery to where they'll know roughly where you are, but not down to the exact location. So to me, this is a really good change. Like I said, it's a bit of a smaller thing. It's not like this completely changes the game, but it's something that I really enjoy. And like I said, I think especially for the Battle Royale, this is going to be a bit of a game changer. But that is it for what I think, at least so far, are the 5 best additions they've made to Battlefield 6. I'm keen to hear all of your thoughts as well, so be sure to leave a comment down below, not only with your own 5, but also whether you agree or disagree with anything on this list as well. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.